Good morning and welcome to Rising. Just a terrific Friday show today, right, Emily?
That's right. We've got a big show as usual, starting off with the biggest news, of course, which is that Queen Elizabeth II of England has died at the age of 96. The longest reigning monarch in British history, the Queen ruled for 70 years, overseeing the course of 2 world wars, 15 UK prime ministers, and 14 United States presidents. Ryan, she met every single president with the exception of Lyndon Johnson, starting with Harry Truman, which is sort of remarkable to think that actually it was Harry Truman who was the president of the United States. Winston Churchill was the prime minister when she took over. In my radar, I'm going to talk kind of about what it means, how the world has changed so much in 70 years. But, it might be a question, with royal stories, you're probably the same as I am on this. I'm always like, listen, we fought a revolution. Like, why am I supposed to care about the royal family? But in this case, it's she's a pretty significant figure in world history. The longest reigning monarch, I think, in British history. 70 years is a very, very long time, and especially over one of the most remarkable centuries in human history.
And she kind of, it seems like the British public kind of wants it both ways here. Mm-hmm. Like, they want her to be the legal representative of the state. Like, she is the actual head of state. They refer to their monarchy as the head of state, whatever that means. But then if you say, well, okay, then we're not really celebrating what Britain did with the Shah of Iran right now, Or you had that Columbia professor or whoever was like, she can rot in hell because of what she did to my family in India and Pakistan. Then it's like, well, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, so this is up on the screen. This is a Carnegie Mellon professor. This tweet was taken down. It reads, "If anyone expects me to express anything but disdain for the monarch who supervised a government that sponsored the genocide that massacred and displaced half my family and the consequences of which those alive today are still trying to overcome, you can keep wishing upon a star."
Right, so is she the head of state or is she not?
Well, this is kind of absurd, first of all, that Twitter would take that down. Right. And secondly, and I actually think Carnegie Mellon might have said something about it too, which is absurd. But no matter how much I might disagree with it, and even how much I would disagree with it being in, I think it's probably in poor taste, but we could have a whole debate about that tweet. There's an interesting interview that happened on CNN with a young lady, to Brian's point, about sort of which way are we going on this? The ambivalence, I think, that exists in the West as they react to the death of Queen Elizabeth. Check out this interview that CNN did, a man on the street interview with a young woman just yesterday.
She lives here in Windsor, and I just wonder what you thought, what your first reaction was when you heard the news that the Queen is under medical supervision.
I think it's pretty sad, when anyone kind of gets in that position, you wouldn't want that to happen to your own family member. But I'm not, the biggest fan of the Queen, or just, the monarchy in general, so I wasn't, that upset or overwhelmed by it. It was just something that happens, I guess.
You're not the biggest fan of the monarchy. I wonder why.
Mainly to do with colonial history, things like that. A lot of things that have gone on which have been quite shady, even recently with Prince Andrew and everything. So I'm not really their biggest fan.
Ryan, you enjoy that clip quite a bit.
So she's trying so hard to be polite because she's recognizing that decorum is appropriate in this somber moment.
Well, I think it speaks
But she's also finding it so laughable and ironic that she has to do this.
Right, but doesn't that speak to what you were talking about, this kind of disconnect between, there is obviously these aesthetics, right, of the monarchy are very, very, I think, cherished by so many people in the UK and in England, and then, at the same time, even by their own actions, they've decreased the size of the British Empire dramatically. Even during this lifespan of Queen Elizabeth, I think there has been a recognition, even if it's not shared by everyone, that the footprint was irresponsible. Sure. And there was a pulling back. And so then it gets to this question of, well, what are you really celebrating when you celebrate the monarchy? And that's a roiling debate that, we knew was going to bubble to the surface whenever she passed away. But it is what you're saying. It's there's this ambivalence. Right. Is it good or bad? Is it a little bit of both?
Right, and with less power over the last 70 years, gradually they've been able to kind of, spread less carnage all over the planet. So then there's less anger at Britain, a lot of which has been transferred to the new empire, us over here over the United States, and the fact that we're over here flying our flags at half-mast and mourning her shows that it really was, the American Revolution was really a political revolution and not like an economic revolution. Just we were buddies, very quickly after this, but we're just waiting until we can become the empire. I've never personally been one that considered actually kind of imbued the monarchy with any malevolence or power itself, because I don't get the sense that she's calling any shots. Mm-hmm. She's just doing a role that's weirdly by flukes of history been assigned to this family within this country, and I think it's kind of cute. And if they want to do that, they can do that.
It's kind of cute.
We create our own royal families.
The Kardashians.
Yeah, sure. So.
Well, no, so...
It's also cute.
It's adorable. Yeah, but the thing with... That's a good point. And it does create this question, though, of they have tons of wealth, and they do have tons of power. And with that comes a Prince Andrew situation, right, who is heavily implicated in the Epstein allegations that he slept with...
Still facing the
underage
lawsuit,
girls.
right?
Yeah, I believe he is. And so... with money and power, even if it's not political power, even if it's not government power, I mean, it technically is government power. It is the protection of the state and the power that comes with being so deeply embedded in the state and having wealth. Then if you're at a point where they're not wielding any government power or political power, immediate political power, and they're hoarding all of the wealth, I understand why people ask questions about that.
Sure.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely. You can say that they're unjustly, living off of the blood of, people who are suffering and dying to create the wealth. But that's all super rich people around the world. So,
and on the other hand,
you only have, and if they're providing something in return, like entertainment to the public, it's
which they are,
which they certainly are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Podcasts, even. Right?
Yeah, Meghan Markle. Well, she's not technically a royal anymore, as you well know, Ryan. But the coverage has been really interesting to watch, because I do think it's true that there will be few people like Queen Elizabeth was, somebody who served fixing up cars actually in World War II, who was intentionally very stoic in the tradition that monarchs have been, who was reserved intentionally, kind of conservative, not in a political sense, although maybe that, but we don't actually really know much about her politics. She kept them, played them pretty close to the vest, and was somebody who was allowed to, people just sort of projected onto her. She was kind of this blank slate. I think I heard someone use that word last night in the coverage, and I think you won't see more royals like that. And if there was somebody who was going to be the Queen of England, if they had to have a queen, I don't know that we'll see anybody else capable of doing it with as much stoicism and reservation and sort of respect for the political space that she had.
Would have been fun if Princess Diana had been able to become queen, but for whatever weird rules they have, apparently she couldn't have become queen.
Queen mother or something.
Yeah, and it's queen consort to Charles, which is okay, what? Yeah. I mean, I'm all for your traditions and such, but get out. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What is this? So I can't follow why. And I was talking to my kids about this. I don't understand how you can have a queen, but the queen's husband is not the king. That's just so confusing. Deeply. But I'm not interested enough to actually find out why that is.
You really did do a 30-second Google search before we started taping to learn what Princess Diana would have been.
Yeah. Queen consort. Get out of here.
Well, anyway, I mean, it is again, I don't think either of us buy into the royal drama too much, although it is sort of fun to hate on Meghan Markle. But that said, this is pretty big. It's a huge development for the Western world, because there was this sense of, the British Empire, when she took it over, was much more powerful. Way more powerful. We can barely describe how much more powerful it was. And then when she leaves, it's just a totally different world, and you're taking that stability from a still powerful country that a lot of people said, this provided a through line for a very challenging century for the West, and especially for the UK, and that was gone immediately. It happened very quickly, and it's a totally new era, and that stability, I think we'll see how much it meant how much good it actually did. Maybe it was nothing, but maybe
my guess. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but maybe it was actually really important to the sense of identity, to the sense of stability that people had. But I mean, I'm probably with you on this one, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but the British love to suffer, right? And so their suffering will continue. It's going to be a rough winter. Energy prices are crazy over there. So I'm wishing them all the suffering that they enjoy over there.
Okay.
Stoically.
Well,
Anyway, stick around. Our radars are up next.